Let's bring in our next guest. Skyping in from Washington, D.C., the Deputy Communications Director of the Republican National Committee, Sarah Isgur Flores. Sarah, it's so good to have you back.
Always great to be here.
Now, Sarah, Ron Fournier was talking there about Obamacare, but breaking trust with the people by this president. Continuing in that vein, seemed to be happening or will happen tonight on immigration. Your take on the president moving forward with a call for amnesty that he's going to try to, quote, grant via executive order.
I mean, I think it's interesting, the Ron Fournier quote. It could be on any number of topics. I think it could easily have been about immigration. Obviously, it was about Obamacare. I think tonight's a political nightmare that the president's stepping into. Even for people who might agree with him policy-wise, this isn't the way to do it. His legal justifications are flimsy, really weak. I think it's unconstitutional. I think a number of other lawyers will. And so far what we've heard is him saying, well, other presidents did it. That's not really true when you get into it.
But taking all that into account, what will the GOP do in response to the president's executive order tonight?
There are a number of options that have been on the table. I think that we still have yet to really see the details of what this plan is, so I think that the GOP's response will...
We seem to have Sarah Isgur Flores in a state of suspended animation, as if she were frozen there on Skype. We're going to try to get that working again in just a second. It is worth noting that there is one with whom I had repeated conversations both on the House floor and during legislative debate and, yes, on television about the whole question of amnesty. That would be Congressman Luis Gutierrez, who obviously is a big proponent of amnesty, and he thinks it's going to be great. Let's take a listen to Congressman Gutierrez.
Well, first of all, the American people have not been explained what kind of executive authority and what the implications are for tens of millions of American families across the nation. I think once the president has an opportunity to explain it, those numbers are going to go up. But plus, let's remember, this takes courage. It took courage for President Truman in 1948 to say, we beat fascism in Europe, and we beat fascism in Asia, and now it is time to desegregate the armed forces of the United States. But as we look back at that decision of President Truman, we only think about the courage and thankfulness we have in our hearts that he showed the courage. And that is saying the same exact way this decision of the president is going to be seen.
Luis Gutierrez of Illinois, Democrat in favor of amnesty, putting the best face on it for MSNBC, invoking the name of Harry Truman and the desegregation of the armed forces. Perhaps a bit of an overreach? In the minute that remains, we've renewed contact with our friend Sarah Isgur Flores. Congressman Gutierrez says tonight's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Sarah?
Not for our Constitution, not for separation of powers, not for a president who said he was going to work with Republicans, who said that elections mattered, and who also has said 22 times that he doesn't have the power to do this.
Tonight, you'll see Congressman Gutierrez and other apologists say the president is acting within his rights. Is that the next big wave of disinformation to try to freeze the Republicans? 15 seconds.
Absolutely, and they don't have a good argument for it. They're going to point to previous presidents, Presidents Reagan, President George H.W. Bush, and it's not true. The facts are that those presidents were issuing executive orders pursuant to statutes passed by Congress that specifically said there needed to be an...
Sarah, we got to run. Thanks for the time. We'll continue.